Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving Shorty. I'm going to take a long, hard look today at Deadpool, Wolverine, World War III, and I don't really know that much about Deadpool and Wolverine crossovers. Is there previous World Wars? I don't know. Not really up on the characters too much overall, which kind of taints my review of this, I'm afraid. I almost gave a review for the Cody Ziegler Deadpool thing when that came out a few weeks back. And I changed my mind at the last minute, simply because I found myself going in circles over the whole, I like Cody Ziegler's writing, I'm not a big fan of Deadpool, and unfortunately, it kind of got to a point where I couldn't think of anything to say other than just, it doesn't really matter who's writing it, it's still this character that I'm not a big fan of. And I realised when reading this one, I think my problem is not that. I think my problem is, I had in my head an idea of the Deadpool character based on the work of Joe Kelly back in the day, and the stuff I've read since then has tainted my opinion ever so slightly. Al Ewing being an exception, who did a fantastic Choose Your Own Adventure comic book, which was just fun from the start. But Joe Kelly was the guy who was writing Deadpool when I first started reading it, and I think his sense of humour kind of shaped what I expected from Deadpool, and when people have veered away from that and when people have gone different directions, I found myself brushing off him a little bit, because he's pretty subversive in his own way. And I think for people who might be watching this review thinking it might be something to do with the Deadpool Wolverine movie coming out, I think if you're going to read a comic book, if you're only here to think, I might be reading a movie and you're now surprised it's a comic book, I will say, this comic book is going to work for you, because the humour comes across very much like the subversive nature that Ryan Reynolds put into the character in the movie. Not in exactly the same way, this is not overtly as queer as the Deadpool movies, but I think there's a really nice touch he does in terms of the fourth wall breaking. Because an awful lot of people will just do they'll have Deadpool tell some jokes, and that's fine. In fact, it's probably pretty difficult to do, certainly difficult to do well. I happen to randomly know a few stand-up comedians, and I understand how difficult the process is to get that kind of thing right, especially when you're doing it live, you've got timing to worry about. But I think there's a difference between having a good joke being told by Deadpool, and having a very good joke being told by Deadpool that's funny because it's Deadpool saying the joke. And one of the ways that comes across really effectively is in the fourth wall breaking, because it's very easy to just have this, like, Deadpool talking to the audience and that being the joke. It's very low-hanging fruit. And don't get me wrong, Joe Kelly can take some low-hanging fruit jokes. He's writing Deadpool. He doesn't really have to go too heavy on that kind of thing. But he does it in such a way that Deadpool makes a joke which is not going to be as funny, or even as funny at all, to the people who exist in the Marvel Universe. Because it's not our universe, they don't have the same cultural touchstones as us. But we do, and when we read it and we see a joke made that definitely appeals to our universe's sensibilities, that's clearly a fourth wall break, but it's not overt. It is brilliant, though. It works very effectively. Also, I mean, if I'm talking about Joe Kelly writing, I'll just talk about Deadpool. He also writes a really good Wolverine. As a straight-mounted comedy sidekick, it's a team that works very, very effectively. And he's told a pretty decent story, too. It starts, like, straight in onto the action, which is very much what I want out of a Deadpool Wolverine crossover. But it also lays the groundwork for some pretty decent mystery kind of thing going on. I will say, in terms of pacing, I think it drops the ball ever so slightly in a couple of points. It takes, or at least to me at least, it seems to take a long time to get to the ending. It feels like it's dragging a little bit in the third of it. And that leads into another problem I've got with it, is when we get to the final reveal, like the end of issue 1, oh my god, what the hell's going on kind of moment, I feel like there's not enough payoff there. It is intriguing. There is clearly connection to the story that's been happening in the comic book so far. There is clearly connective tissue. There has been foreshadowing going on, but it's still quite a lot of a what the hell moment. And I feel like if there was going to be time taken to drag out the timing until we got to that reveal, it could have been spent just sprinkling in a few more little clues so it's not a complete what the hey kind of moment. I will also say the artist is fantastic. It's a Q-Bot on the artwork, and you don't need me to tell you he's great. I mean, if you're a fan of comic books at all, you know he's really, really good. I think even the fact that he uses some motion lines in his action sequences doesn't bother me as much as it would do from some other artists. He does a Marvel style, which is, for me, like, kind of the perfect Marvel style. It is very much in-house. It looks like a lot of Marvel comics would do, but the level of quality is just through the roof. I mean, his characterizations are fantastic. His dynamism is brilliant. The motion lines work because it's a kind of a comedy book, so, like, going OTT on that kind of thing is very effective. He also does some really good just set-piece kind of stuff, like Wolverine just having a drink in a bar. All the detailing on it looks fantastic. All the detailing on the random hotel room that he goes to is fantastic. All the little things come together and make this a good comic book. I don't think it's necessarily going to turn me into a Deadpool fan. I don't think I'm going to hit the subscribe button on this one. But I do think it's a good book, and definitely better than I thought it was going to be. That's it from me for reviews. I've still got some other stuff to do this week because it's Free Comic Book Day. Yay! But until I see you all again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye!